more, but 12.11% of respondents indicated they were in favour of a 24/7 cat curfew, despite this not being part of the specific consultation survey. Council resolves to revisit the matter of full containment of cats as part of the Domestic Animal Plan review, which will be conducted in early 2025. A, in wildlife sensitive areas, B, for newly adopted cats, and or for all cats.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Wade. Councillor O'Brien, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and I really appreciate the submission tonight. Thank you, that was very informative. Being someone who does a lot of wildlife rescue work, I guess some of the evidence we get from Wildlife Victoria suggests that cats are quite a significant problem for wildlife. I'm not disputing your knowledge on this, but certainly as far as I know and from what I've heard from the research officers have done, that is the case as well. And when an animal is attacked by a cat, if they survive that attack, they really need, native animals this is, they really need to see a vet pretty quickly, otherwise they can die, and that's because of the bacteria and things in the mouths of cats. And we know that cats don't just predate during the night. Many birds are taken during the day, as with small lizards and skinks and things like that. We know that cats that are contained live longer, have better health and better outcomes generally. I do agree with you about the bedtime feeding program, and I believe that will be part of our education campaign that we'll be going out with regarding the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew anyway. But I guess we all love our cats if we have them as family members. They are a very beautiful, sophisticated animal, but our wildlife has not evolved to cope with such predators. It was my great honour to launch the Gardens for Wildlife program a couple of weeks ago. And we had there Chris Clark was a guest speaker. He was the Vice President of the Australian Native Plant Society, and he also produced the Plants of Melbourne's Western Plains, a gardens guide. So we are working on, anyway, he actually in his presentation talked about cats being a problem when you are gardening for wildlife, when you're planting a native garden. So we are working on encouraging our community to plant native plants and do the correct things for making your garden wildlife safe or encouraging wildlife into your garden. And I think that program's really taken off. So at any rate, I think we can revisit this issue down the track. And certainly if further evidence comes to light that this is problematic, then obviously we'll be revisiting it early 2025. I encourage my colleagues to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Wade.
Yes, thank you for the report, officers, and for the work done during the consultation. And it was great to see quite rigorous engagement from our community on this, and I appreciate Ms. O'Mahony coming tonight to speak to us as well. And it's good to hear that we're already looking into that desexing program and the education programs, which I think are always very sensible suggestions. On the evidence before us, this rule will be better for both cats, is what the RSPCA research is showing, and also better for native animals is what the research we've been presented with has shown. It's got strong community support, and as Councillor O'Brien has rightly noted, we've seen an indication of support for 24 hours as well. There's a fast-moving lot of research in this space. Even in the time since we released this report for consultation, there have been more reports released that are trying to outline the impact of cats on native wildlife. There's been more statements from the state and federal government, and that's something that I think we'll need to keep paying attention to, and why I think having quite a short timeline on review is a really good idea. But in the meantime, I think this motion is a good one, and I encourage my colleagues to support it. It also gives a fair bit of lead time to cat owners, given it won't actually commence until the 1st of Jan 2024. So endorse this motion, and thank you to Councillor O'Brien for the very good and very valid amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. I've just heard that we've unfortunately lost signal with our live streaming, so we will have a recorded version up for those who are now disconnected. Can I see if we have any speakers against the motion? Any other speakers for this item? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Mr. Martin. Next up, we have 7.2, which is the extension of landfill services contract. I'd like to invite Brett and Zoe to the table. Councillors, do we have any questions for Brett and Zoe? Councillor Stone.
Just a minor question. If this isn't due till 2025, why it's being brought up now?
Thank you, Brett.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Councillor. Through you, Mayor. DECA run a program across 26 councils, so to ensure that there is capacity at the sites and to lock in the price, they like to get ahead of the game. So it's just to preempt and lock in to ensure there's capacity at the sites.
Thank you. Any other questions? Can I have a way forward, councillors? Go for
I
it.
had another question. Paragraph 18, there's what sounds like a very valid comment that officers will continue to advocate to the state government about reviewing a process for collecting and distributing the landfill levy. What is the advocacy message being given? Because I think it's been a long time. It's been 15 years or something. So what are officers now saying?
Yep, thank you for your question, Councillor. Through you, Mayor. At every chance we get at our forums, with the waste forum through the waste community, about reinvesting back in the waste and recycling industry and sort of getting it ahead of the game, so at the production of the products that create our landfill waste. So every chance we get, we want to hit the state government up to reinvest back in the waste industry.
So the message is about prevention rather than treating the waste product?
Yeah, correct. It's a bit of both, to be honest.
So that's changed. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Councillors, can I have a mover? Councillor Stone. I think we need you to insert the wording in. Okay, Councillor Stone, you move the motion. Can I have a seconder? Councillor O'Brien, thank you. Councillor Stone, would you like to speak to it?
The thing that makes sense about this, Mr. Gramo, has just, I've lost my documents, has just explained that why we need to do this now, but also if we don't, the only other option is going to cost council and ratepayers an awful lot more money. The service being provided so far has been more than adequate, so I have confidence in supporting this recommendation and thank the officers for their explanatory report.
Thank you, Councillor Stone. Councillor O'Brien.
Nothing more to add.
Okay. Let's go to any other speakers against or any other speakers for the item. Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Brett and Zoe. The next item is 7.3, Planning and Housing Reform. Councillors, do we have any questions for Mary? Ms Osman. Councillor Stone.
I guess it's to confirm, because it's not explicitly stated in the report, that there are many, many, many things that we could all advocate on around this reform. It's bothered many people on many fronts, but that there isn't pending more detail, which is abundantly absent, officers will bring forward some suggested advocacy positions. So is that clear? Is that correct?
Through you, Mayor, that is correct. Council's advocacy plan already outlines a number of advocacy platforms that Council will continue to speak to the state. That includes including the community as part of any reform and to ensure that there's a community voice to be heard by the state. There's also a number of housing reforms, but I might defer to my colleague to outline some of those.
Through you, Mayor. We will continue to work with the M9 councils on group advocacy as well as our individual existing advocacy positions, some of which are flagged in the report regarding the amount of public housing and social housing on the estates, and also the open space previous advocacy positions that we have brought to the government and that remain relevant.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, councillors, do we have a motion?
Yes, I've got a bit of a mouthful which I have distributed earlier, which has a number of additional clauses to the officer recommendation. Do you want me to read them out? Okay, so I guess those who are interested can read part of it up there. So I'm moving that.
Thank you. Councillor Landers, would you like to second? Great. Councillor Stone, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, Councillor Landers has written part of this and I've written part of it. Councillor Landers, I guess, will speak to the bits that he wrote, which are really about maintaining council's role and voice in planning reforms, council being the closest level of government to the community which are affected by planning, and really that connection needs to be there for planning decisions which are very much removed through these reforms. The part that I'm emphasising is the redevelopment or the proposed redevelopment of the public housing estates, 44 across the state and a number in Yarra, and to really acknowledge the shock and the distress of our residents and give them a bit of a voice in this process, because it came out of the blue for them. It may not happen for a long time, but that doesn't matter to people who have been told that they might have to move out of their homes. They know the experiences of public housing tenants in other towers which have been redeveloped, and the majority of those tenants have not returned because they have to settle somewhere in schools and services and communities elsewhere. So it's incredibly disruptive, it's very distressing, and it has quite negative impacts on people. So we don't have a position on that redevelopment. We don't know enough yet to take a position, but what we do know is that our residents are extremely upset and feel quite disempowered. They haven't been consulted, they haven't been engaged, or they've been engaged after the event. They've been told this is what's happening, but they were not involved in the decision being made. So this is expressing solidarity with them and stating up front that people live in communities, and if you break up communities, it's very damaging. So whatever happens, that needs to be borne in mind, and we all need to get behind our public housing residents and support them right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stone. Councillor Landers.
Yeah, I just concur with those words. I think it's really important and vital that government has a policy that reassures residents in our estates and provides the necessary guidance and support them to continue residing in their communities and to address any fears that have come about out of this decision. I think in terms of the local context, it's really important to preserve that sense of local community and the richness that goes with local community, and the local government authority is best placed to protect and enhance local community, and that's why I think our role needs to be we need to be involved in the planning process. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers against the motion? Or any other speakers for the motion? Councillor Mohammed, thank you.
I think public housing contributes significantly to urban revitalisation efforts by transforming debilitated areas into vibrant, well-maintained neighbourhoods. Investments in public housing can enhance the quality of life for all residents, encouraging economic growth and rejuvenating distressed areas. Ultimately, the importance of public housing lies in its ability to safeguard the basic human rights of having a decent and affordable place to live. It helps to advance social justice, reduce disparities in living conditions, and foster inclusive communities essential for the well-being and progress of societies as a whole. And I feel like true leadership is a leader that never leaves anyone behind. And for leadership and people in leadership positions to forget and not think of diverse housing is just very shocking to me, because we're all diverse people. We can't all be put in one box. And housing cannot all be put in one box as well. And without housing, a lot of us will not have a life, you know? So it's very important. So basic human rights, I don't know what's so hard about it. And I just hope the future leaders think very carefully about making decisions like this in the future.
Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. Any other speakers? Councillor O'Brien.
Just following on from that, I would like to also point out, which I'm sure everyone here is well aware, but I think for me what's particularly significant is the fact that when people are displaced from particularly our public housing estates, many of those people don't actually return. And we must acknowledge the absolute central importance of our public housing estates to the diversity of our community, which is one of the things that makes Yarra such a special place to live and work, etc., etc. We need to hang on to protect our diversity of community is one thing I would say. So I support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Councillor Jolly.
Yeah, if somebody said a year ago that every person in Yarra and almost every person in Yarra and almost every person in Melbourne who's black or brown or poor would lose their homes and may not be able to come back to where they lived, you would say that they would be some type of ultra-racist, fascist. I mean, what type of whitewashing? That's absolutely outrageous. When a pale shadow of this announcement was made in 2013 by the last Liberal government, we all united, Greens, ALP, Socialists, Independents, the community, and we stopped them. This is on steroids what they want to do. 44 towers, 27% of which are in the city of Yarra, as somebody said. And it sort of reminds me a little bit of the East-West Tunnel campaign, that we're going to obviously say it's a terrible thing. I endorse the points that Councillor Mohammed and others have said tonight, obviously, but this is going to be one lost also outside of the community, and I would just ask people to be aware, if they aren't already, but also put it in their diaries, of two very important events. A big one on November the 11th that our state member, Gabriel Devetri, is called. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's on the intersection of Smith and Gertrude Streets. That'll be like an all-Melbourne rally to support our public housing tenants. That's on November the 11th. I'm not sure of the day of the week off the top of my head. And then on Saturday week here in Yarra and Collingwood Estate, which is the 21st of this month at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, not this week, but the week after, where we're going to have councillors and state and federal members speaking, but most importantly public housing tenants. Some of those overlap in the form of Councillor Mohammed, and I'd encourage you to attend both of those events if you can.
Thank you, Councillor Jolly. Any more speakers? Councillor Wade.
Just very briefly, I think the councillors seem to have a fairly united view on these issues, and I'm looking forward to fleshing them out over kind of coming weeks. But I just thought it was worth just briefly adding for anyone in the room, and if online is working again, I'm not sure, just to reiterate that the first that we'd heard about this, the first I heard was when Councillor Mohammed got something in her letterbox saying that these 44 towers were going to be demolished. That's, you know, we found out over the next kind of 24 to 36 hours that the Yarra, the 11 housing estates the 11 towers in Yarra, which make up 25% of that 44, weren't actually going to happen in the next decade. But in that time, people thought they were going to lose their homes, and they thought that was going to happen really quickly. So we've got a long way to go on this, but it was a pretty shocking week, and I think it's something that we all need to keep paying very, very close attention to.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Any more speakers? All right, let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Mary. The next item is 2023. Do we have Marion Atwater here? Okay. Councillors, do we have any questions for Mr. Thomas? No questions.
Mr. Thomas, we've had one person who's been asking lots of questions about delegations, and one of her issues was around freedom of information, I believe, and she wanted to know why that the FOI Act wasn't included in this sort of delegation. I was wondering if you could just provide some clarity around that. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. The delegations which are presented to Council tonight are delegations of Council's powers. So Council is delegating its powers in one instrument to the CEO and in the other instrument to various staff across the organisation. There's a second set of delegations which is it's what's called a sub-delegation. So it's a delegation where the CEO delegates her powers to staff, and in that process there's also some powers that the CEO has that the Council doesn't have by virtue of the way the legislation is structured. So those delegations are signed by the CEO, not approved by the Council. They are being reviewed as the second stage of this process, and they'll all be done in coming weeks. It's worth noting that not all delegations, although there's a suite of delegations we can choose from, we've not chosen to exercise every delegated power that's available to us, simply because they're not applicable in Yarra. So, for example, in this set that's being presented tonight, the powers that Council has under the Cemeteries and Crematoria Act have not been delegated because we don't have one. Similarly, there's some powers under the CFA Act, and there's some EPA powers that relate to large-scale septic systems which don't exist. So we don't actually take up every delegation.
Councillor Wade.
I think this is also to Mr. Thomas through you, Mayor. Just the biannual personal interest returns has brought me back to the questioner from earlier. I completely appreciate your response, and that made perfect sense to me. It just, as a point of curiosity and potentially something councillors could bring back later, would it be possible to file redacted versions of the old ones for people, for example, to just cover councillors? Like, would that be theoretically something a councillor could bring?
Certainly that would minimise, or to some extent mitigate the risk. We would, I suspect, need to seek advice as to whether or not that would be permitted, but it is more likely to be permitted than, and certainly could be done with consent, although that would require the consent of every individual listed.
Any more questions? Councillor Stone.
I don't know who this is to. It's about the Audit and Risk Committee statement to Mr. Thomas, is it? They make a statement about Council making efforts to improve its financial position over the last few years. Are you able to say what few years means? Is it since COVID, before COVID? Give us a sense of what time frame they're looking at.
I can have a go at it, but Jenny my colleague might have a better response.
Thank you for your question. During the Audit and Risk Committee meetings, there was certainly acknowledgement that there have been efforts, especially in the last 15 to 18 months, to improve the financial situation of Council, and these had been acknowledged at the Audit and Risk Committee. The committee's endorsement of the principles of the financial sustainability strategy was in particular one thing that they highlighted in the previous years. But I would definitely say in the last 15 to 18 months is what they were thinking about at the time when that was written.
Any more questions, councillors? Okay, can I seek a mover? Councillor Landis, thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Mohammed. Councillor Landis, would you like to speak to this?
To thank the officers for the report. I actually was going to highlight the audit committee statement. I think it's fair to say that a lot of work has gone on in respect of council's financial sustainability that sort of emerged at the beginning, more or less, of this particular cycle of council. So I think that's the context of the last few financial years. And I just wanted to reiterate the statement that council note the following statement, that the Audit and Risk Committee notes that the council has proactively worked to improve its financial position over the last few financial years and will continue to receive regular reports from management and maintain oversight of the situation. The Audit and Risk Committee further notes that a significant effort is still required from Council to achieve the long-term financial sustainability. I think most people have heard me sort of talk a lot about that particular subject, so I won't go into it anymore. But I just wanted to emphasise that and also thank the officers for the explanation around the instrument of delegations, both to the Council and the CEO. So with that, I commend the report.
Thank you, Councillor Landis. Councillor Mohammed.
I'll just echo what Councillor Herschel said. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers against? Or any other speakers for the item? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you, councillors. Yes, all those in favour? Councillor Mohammed, Councillor Crossland, Councillor Nguyen, Landis, Wade. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the Yarra City Council Annual Report 2022-2023. Before we hear from any registered speakers and consider the formal motion, I need to first present the annual report, and this is required by the Local Government Act, and to do that I need a motion to suspend standing orders. Thank you, Councillor Jolly. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Bryan, let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you, councillors. So, let's get the slides up. On behalf of Yarra City Council, I'm really pleased to present the annual report for 2022-2023. It's the second annual report to record our progress against the 6 strategic objectives in the Council Plan for 21-25, which were guided by Yarra's Community Vision 2036, produced through extensive work with the local community. Leadership on climate action as one of just 122 cities worldwide to receive an A-list city status from the Carbon Disclosure Project. We also supported residents to make choices like switching to renewable energy and reducing waste in their own homes. Under nature, we saw 28 parks and open space projects completed successfully. We planted over 24,000 Indigenous seedlings and increased Yarra's urban canopy coverage to 17.7%, which will help us to mitigate the urban heat island effect. Under Capital Works, Councillor O'Brien and myself opened the new playground at Alphington Park, which replaced an old and outdated playground, and it now has greater access for children of all abilities and a broad range, and for a broad age range. We have the new modular Mary Rogers Pavilion, constructed in Ryan's Reserve in Richmond, which replaced an aged and outdated pavilion. We renovated the Fitzy Bowl skate park, doubling the size of the original facility and making the experience more accessible. We delivered several contraflow bike lanes designed to allow cyclists to travel safely on typically designated one-way streets. And we launched Yarra City Jobs, which was a portal that connected local businesses with local workers. We had $2.4 million in grants, which was distributed to 336 community groups who have gone on to produce great initiatives and programs. We also held our first ever youth forum, which had approximately 40 participants who will provide council with advice on how we can best support young people who live, work, study in the city of Yarra. That was a snapshot of our annual report. You can find more information on the annual report on our website, at our many customer service centres and at our libraries. Councillors, can I please have a motion to resume the standing orders? Can I have a mover for that? Councillor Glenatsis, thank you. Councillor Mohammed. Thank you, Councillor Mohammed. Yes, let's go. All those in favour? That carries unanimously. Thank you, Councillor Landis. Do we have Marion Atwater here who has registered to speak? No. Do we have any questions for Liv or staff? Okay, no questions. Let's go to a vote. Sorry, we haven't even asked for a motion. Can I please have a mover for the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wade? Can I have a seconder? Councillor Stone. Councillor Wade, would you like to speak to this?
Just to say that was a really nice flash through the last 12 months, a few things I'd forgotten about. I'm standing in the rain holding a skateboard at the Fitzy Bowl opening, feeling like a giant dork but really excited for the future kids that got to skate on it. I also saw a 3-year-old on a scooter in one of those bowl things, and I was like, man, the world is amazing and 3-year-olds are so cool. The netball courts at Ryan's Reserve are amazing, and I know that's a big win for many of our councillors, some from pre-existing work before being on council as well. What a great 12 months. Very cool. I'm looking forward to having a closer look at those slides and a look at, reread of the report. It's just good times.
Definitely. Thank you, Councillor Wade. Councillor Stone. Thank you, Councillor Stone. I should remind everybody that we do have live stream working again. Oh, okay. It might be dropping in and out. Okay. Do we have any other speakers for the item? Let's go to a vote then. All those in favour? That carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Ms Cullen. We now move on to 7.6, which is the council position on the voice to Parliament. Welcome back, Sarah Ernst. And councillors, do we have any questions? All right. Councillor Bryan, you've got a motion you'd like to put forward? Thank you. Let's get that up. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, thank you. I would like to move the officer's recommendation with one additional clause that council communicates this outcome to our key local partner organisations via the Yarra network of community service providers, inclusive of relevant information about the Yes campaign, the referendum link and links to resources which provide specific supports for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community members.
Thank you, Councillor Bryan. Can I have a mover? Sorry, a seconder. Councillor Stone. Councillor Bryan, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, I think I first would really like to thank staff for this great work. I think it's been done in the most appropriate way that we address this issue tonight. As part of our Yarra Nagana plan, we specifically state that Council commits to consulting the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation on all decisions affecting the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung and the broader Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community on all issues affecting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in Yarra. And we know that the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung Cultural Heritage Aboriginal Corporation just last week, I think it was Thursday, came out with a press release stating their position is now a yes with regards to the voice. As many people know, I've been running some sessions across the community about educating the community about issues, providing information, etc., and advice on enrolling to vote. But as part of that, I've had two wonderful women elders, Professor Sandra Eads and Professor Catherine Chamberlain, who are both Aboriginal women who work in the health sphere, come and speak at that, and they were really enlightening about some of the issues and how the voice could actually improve the lives of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. And I guess for me, with regard to the voice, I think it's all about constitutional recognition of the oldest surviving culture on the planet, which is an absolutely incredibly important thing, but it is also about the voice. And I guess it's important that the voice actually is in the Constitution because in 1972, the Whitlam government established the first elected voice to a national government, the National Aboriginal Consultative Committee, the NACC. That committee was replaced by another body called the National Aboriginal Conference, the NAC, by the Fraser government. The NAC was axed in 1985 under the Hawke government, and it wasn't until 1989 and an Act of Parliament created ATSIC, the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission, and I guess that was... And then the Howard government shut that down in 2004. So this very important consultative group is at the whims of whoever's in government at the time. So I think it is incredibly important to go into the Constitution, as well as the respect that we have for the oldest surviving culture on the planet and the recognition of our First Peoples in our Constitution, as every other country in the world who has First Nations people does. So I would like to... Also, the reason I'm including this is I think it's really good for us to support the voice, but we have to do something with that support. That support. And also the debate has been incredibly toxic, and I think we really do need to wrap our arms around the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander community and their allies, given this turbulent time and the toxic debates that have been happening, particularly online.
Thank you, Councillor Brown. Councillor Stone.
Thank you. It might seem a bit odd, Council coming up with a position 4 days before the actual referendum, but there is a reason for that, and it's been extremely difficult for us as a council. I think all of us as councillors support the Yes campaign personally, but we don't do anything without our partners, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people, and they have, and many remain, had a diversity of views. So we can't take a position on behalf of people who don't have a position. And as Councillor O'Brien has pointed out, it was just last week that the elders, not the whole Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung, took a position which we feel we can publicly support. We do want to publicly support it because the statement from the heart is a beautiful and profound statement. It's a very simple request, as one of the speakers I listened to, hosted by Councillor O'Brien, said many Indigenous people around the world have looked at this and have said, you're not asking for much, what's the problem? And it's true. So I'm glad we can support the in-principle position of our traditional owners, and thank the officers very much for pulling together a comprehensive report and a really sensible, thoughtful and sensitive recommendation for us to adopt tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Sarah.
Can I call for a division, please?
All those in favour? Councillor Jolly, Glenatsis, Crossland, Nguyen, Landis, Wade, Stone, O'Brien, and yep. Thank you. Let's move on to section 8, which is notices of motion. We have none. Let's go to 9, which is petitions and letters. Do we have any? Councillor O'Brien.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I have a petition of 460...
Do you want the petition?
I don't know why. Sorry, I've submitted a petition, I think, Monday that was online, and also we have a hard copy apparently, of 464 signatures collected from residents regarding speed humps in Miller Street, full-width speed humps, and just going to the run sheet, I beg your pardon.
It's there.
Oh, thank you. A petition... No, it's not what I'm looking for, sorry. I'm tabling this petition seeking the installation of full-width speed humps on Miller Street, Fitzroy North. I move that the petition be received and referred to the appropriate officer for consideration.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Wade. Councillor, do we need to speak to this? Councillor O'Brien, do you want to speak to this?
I'm just tabling the petition. I think it's an excellent, I guess it's about safety of residents, but it's also about safety for cyclists as well.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have Councillor Wade?
Just briefly to say thank you to residents for your diligence in gathering all that information. That couldn't have taken a short amount of time to get 464 signatures, I think it was. Good on you, and we will keep chasing. I know a number of us have fought for money in the budget before to make sure that design work is done, though I appreciate, as you've said, there's been delays in it, and we'll keep following that up, and I look forward to seeing a copy of the petition as well, because I don't think I've seen it yet, but I fully believe that it exists and endorse us tabling it.
Do we have any other speakers? Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you, councillors. Any more petitions tonight? Or joint letters? Okay, let's move on to... Councillor Wade.
Yes, I have been asked to table a petition, but I understand because it's an electronic one that we can't formally table it. So I'm just asking for it to be noted that I've referred a petition of over 1,000 signatures to get bike lanes onto Johnston Street, which is technically directed at the Minister because it's a state road, but I've been asked to table a copy or refer a copy to the CEO because a large portion of Johnston Street goes through Yarra. In fact, I think the bit where it's called Johnston Street, and I believe copies are being sent to City of Melbourne and City of Boroondara as well because it's a east-west thing the whole way through.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Yes, I'll refer that to the CEO. Section 10, questions without notice. Councillors, do we have any? Councillor Stone.
Thank you. This was raised by a resident at the last council meeting, but it's about our heat wave plan, with the long hot summer being forecast after a few mild summers, and the inevitable health impacts on vulnerable groups, particularly homeless people in Yarra and the elderly. Yarra's had award-winning heat management plans in the past, and my question is what measures will be in place this summer to support those at-risk residents during any period of severe and prolonged heat? And I think that's, well, someone will...
Thank you for the question. Mayor, there are heat health advisory articles on our website to support the general public to be able to understand how to best protect themselves from heat wave. Council has a number of emergency management arrangements with regards to heat. I'm think I'll have to take the question on notice with regards to how we're going to support our most vulnerable residents, especially those that are rough sleeping, etc. So I might have to get back to you on that particular issue, but thank you for the question.
Thank you. I believe Ms McGrath can also add to it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Stone. And just to add to what my colleague has just outlined, we are now starting a whole of organisation heatwave preparedness plan, not only for our internal staff and volunteers and what services we provide and what we don't provide in a time of extreme heat, but also looking at our services, so our aged care, our children's services, kinders, how do we support our various, you've stated, at-risk community groups, how do we activate through our partner agencies to ensure that we're mirroring what they're also thinking about, and also working with state government agencies for residents of public housing estates. In terms of our homeless population groups, we will be doing that planning, particularly through our Yarra Zero network, to make sure that as much as possible people have safe options during that time.
Fantastic, thank you. I have a second question, if I may. It's to Ms Osborne. It's also on the theme of heat and planning, that the urban heat island effect is exacerbated by hard surfaces that are dark coloured, like asphalt, which absorbs heat and then radiates it back to us, thanks, at night. There are big new buildings still being constructed in Yarra of dark colours, of black and charcoal. There's a new hotel in Collingwood that is all black. And of course, the heat that they absorb is not problematic for the people inside, it's for all the rest of us. So what mechanisms are there for council to discourage those sorts of colours, particularly on large buildings, if not require them? Because it does seem to be contrary to our climate emergency plan, but they keep popping up.
Through you, Mayor, it's an interesting question. There are limited ability for council to direct people to not use dark colours on their buildings. There are paint controls or colour controls in heritage overlays. In saying that, we do have a number of sustainable management plans that are incorporated for a number of these larger developments, and where we can influence, we attempt to, but I have to say that controlling the colour of buildings is not something that the planning scheme actively encourages.
Just to follow up, the zero carbon buildings, the ESD planning scheme amendment that's sitting with the Minister at the moment, that doesn't provide an opportunity to include that. A building can't be zero carbon if it's radiating heat at night, can it?
Through you, Mayor, I would say that limiting colours within a zero carbon amendment is probably not the most effective method. The amendment is specific in trying to encourage people off gas under a number of other avenues. I can ask for some additional advice from our ESD advisor if that would be something that we could add or would add value to that amendment, and come back to councillors.
That would be good, thank you. Thanks very much.
Just as a follow-up question, that was a really great question. Across the road, there was a recent VCAT hearing with respect to an application, and I believe the colour was brought up in that case. Are you able to sort of advise where the VCAT member took the arguments around the colours? I think council were advocating for a lighter colour, and I think the applicant was advocating for one of those grey colours.
Through you, Mayor, if my memory is correct, that sites included within the heritage overlay, the context was a little bit different.
Any other questions? Councillor Glenatsis.
To Mary, I think this might come to you, Mary. PLN 14/0441.04. It was an amended planning permit for 134 to 138 Johnson Street. It's the Nighthawks nightclub. has been approved with new conditions. Condition 1C was a notation to show deliveries of...
Point of order.
Yes.
I think the councillor declared a conflict of interest at the time. So is it appropriate you're asking a question on that?
That's coming through a constituent, not from
So,
me.
Michael, Councillor Glanatz, do you have a conflict on this issue? I'm not sure if you do.
I don't think, well, I did claim conflict of interest.
Okay, if you have declared a conflict of interest previously, you're best declaring it again and not asking it in this forum.
Thank you. Yep.
Or any forum.
Yep. Sorry, ma'am.
That's okay. CEO, you've got something to say?
Yeah, so councillors and I know I'm aware Councillor Glanatsis didn't have an opportunity to complete his question. I just want to take the opportunity to remind councillors it's very difficult for officers without advance notice to answer questions that are more than general in nature. We get more than 1,000 planning applications a year, and Ms Osman is pretty extraordinary, but it would be pretty challenging, I reckon, to remember a specific condition. So I just, if I could encourage councillors to just take that into account, otherwise we will have to take questions on notice.
Thank you. Councillor, if it's a question from a constituent, then you can get them to write through to the planning team. That might be best to deal with their query. Any more questions tonight? Okay, thank you. Let's go to delegates' reports. I believe we have one from... Yep, Councillor Glanatsis. Thank you.
You caught me off guard. It's the Heritage Advisory Committee. The committee met on the 17th of July 23. Myself, Councillor O'Brien and Councillor Crossland were in attendance and provides this report to Council. Key items for this meeting included introduction, number one I suppose, introduction and update by Manager City Strategy. Kate Youngkin, Manager City Strategy, introduced herself and provided an update on the progress of various planning scheme amendments and their status with respect to the approval process. Secondly, general planning matters, questions and clarifications. HAC had raised a few questions prior to the meeting to seek clarifications from Statutory Planning Services of Yarra. Key topics of their questions included process of assessment of a redevelopment application on a property within a heritage overlay. Second, process of assessing heritage and engaging a heritage advisor. How are community issues addressed was another one. What is the current process for providing heritage advice to the community was also another. Pardon? You don't have to read it out if you don't want to. I loved reading it out, yeah. Practice. Good point. Yeah, well, Danielle Connell, acting manager, statutory planning, attended the meeting and made a presentation on the planning permit process. She presented a chart on various stages in processing of a planning application and explained how heritage matters are considered in the assessment and various stages of the planning permit process. The discussion also provided clarification of on the above aspects raised by the community. There was also a presentation by John Scholl on heritage buildings examples. Just a general update. Principal Heritage Advisor provided updates on the following topics: Linear Park Master Plan preparation and the current stage, current status of the approval of World Heritage Environs, Area Strategy Plan, and Slade Knitwear sign removal. Also, Heritage Architecture Award to Council's Heritage Consultant Conservation Studio for their work on ceiling conservation works at the Fitzroy Town Hall. Other matters, the HAC noted that the funding for a heritage officer was not approved in this year's budget. It was discussed that this could be raised for the Council's mid-year budget review. Otherwise, a new bid can be submitted for next year's budget consideration. Proposed motion, the Council note the delegates' report and thank the Heritage Advisory Committee members for their expertise and advice. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a seconder for this? Councillor O'Brien. Councillor O'Brien, would you like to add anything to that?
I really want to thank the Heritage Advisory Committee for all their great work. At every meeting now, someone is doing a presentation, so we're getting, the community members are providing their expertise to councillors. I want to congratulate Councillor Glenatsis on his first delegates report. Well done. And yes, I would just like to reiterate again that we have not funded the Heritage Officer position, the second Heritage Officer position that's in the Heritage Strategy, and we haven't funded that for some time, and that's holding up the Heritage Strategy itself. So I really encourage councillors to please consider at the next round of the mid-year budget considerations that we do fund that position.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Crossland.
Just to say thank you very much to Councillor Glenatsis for the preparation of the report and the ongoing work of the Heritage Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? Carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We go to general business. We have the first one. Councillors, do we have any general business to raise? Yep, Councillor Crossland.
Yes, I've got 2 general business motions that I'd like to table.
Can you please go through your first one?
Would you like me to summarise the motion?
You can briefly, if you want, yes.
Yep. The motion seeks that Council write to the Melbourne Archdiocese of Catholic Schools and also to state and federal government education ministers seeking consideration of how to maintain the ongoing operation of St John's Primary School in Clifton Hill. That fundamentally covers it off, yeah.
And you move this. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Mohammed, would you like to speak to this further?
Thank you. On Sunday, I met with St John's Primary School community in Clifton Hill, who are deeply, deeply upset at the recent announcement by the Melbourne Archdiocese of Catholic Schools' intent to close the school at the end of the year. Following a viability review in May 2023, Melbourne Archdiocese of Catholic Schools announced the closure of St John's on the 17th of August, which is one of 4 schools to be closed by the Archdiocese through this process. However, St John's Primary School addressed 4 out of 5 of the review criteria with a solid plan to meet the 5th criterion within enrolment numbers. St John's Primary School has a focus on assisted learning, with 50% of students having significant learning support needs, and they provide significant educational service to the local community. The St John's Primary School community is tight-knit, with the school delivering exceptional social, academic and learning outcomes for all students, including some of the Inner North's most vulnerable children. Yarra is experiencing significant residential growth, particularly in the surrounding area to the primary school, including the former Fitzroy Gasworks site, and will need infrastructure such as schools to meet future community needs. This motion seeks to encourage the Melbourne Archdiocese of the Catholic Schools to review their decision and that the state and Commonwealth governments ensure that the school continues to operate as a school. And I hope that I have the support of my colleagues in supporting the St John's Primary School community via this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed, would you like to speak to this?
I'll just echo what Councillor Crossland said. I think he spoke very well to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? We'll go to a vote. All those in favour? Carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Councillor Crossland, second one from you.
Yes, thank you. I'll just wait for it to come up on screen. Thank you. That this motion basically identifies that we have a number of locations where we have rainbow treatments that have been put onto footpaths, and it's seeking a report back to council that will look at the refreshing of that paint, but also exploring other opportunities for an updated design, noting that there is now the intersex inclusive pride flag and greater opportunity for inclusivity, and also the potential to expand the application of the treatment at the current locations and or elsewhere.
Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Jolly. Did you have a question? Sorry, Councillor O'Brien? Okay. Okay. Can I retract Councillor Jolly? Sure, okay. Councillor O'Brien seconds as member of the RAC. Councillor Crossland, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Mayor. Yarra is one of the primary centres for LGBTIQA+ community and business in Victoria and Australia. Council has a proud role in celebrating this and ensuring that Yarra continues to be a safe and inclusive place. In 2014, Council undertook the initiative of painting a rainbow on the footpath at the prominent intersections of Smith and Gertrude Streets. While initially conceived as a temporary welcoming gesture for delegates attending the International AIDS Conference in Melbourne, the Council resolved to make this artwork a permanent fixture. The rainbow footpath reflects the original Pride flag, comprising only 6 colours. The evolution of the Pride flag design has been significant, and internationally we've seen the emergence of the intersex inclusive Pride flag, which is now emerges the most inclusive Pride flag at this point in time. This matter was raised with us via Council's Rainbow Advisory Committee with Councillor O'Brien and myself, and leading up to next year's Victoria's Pride Street Party, and with the 2024 marking the 10-year anniversary of both the original painting of the rainbow treatment and Melbourne hosting the International AIDS Conference, I feel it's fitting to consider what more we might be able to do in this space. This motion again seeks that a report be brought to Council regarding the repainting of the rainbow footpath treatment on Gertrude, Smith and Peel Streets in Fitzroy and Collingwood, and as part of this seeks the provision of options for an additional design that looks at opportunity for greater inclusivity and may include the expansion of the application of treatment at the current locations and or possible other locations where it could be applied. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor O'Brien, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, I'll speak very briefly. So this was raised at the last Rainbow Advisory Committee meeting. Basically, before Victoria's Pride of 2023, the rainbow footpath was basically cleaned, but the community's been saying that it's a bit worn out, and there's been a desire expressed that the rainbow footpath be updated to, as Councillor Crossland said, reflect the Pride Progress flag. Midsummer organisers have also advised council officers that they support the updated design, so really it's just a matter of us getting on and doing it rather than just cleaning it, which apparently costs quite a bit of money. We might as well just repaint it and get it done with.
Thank you, Councillor O'Brien. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Wade.
Yes, I believe officers have been working on this for some time. I've had various business owners approach me on Gertrude Street and people of Gertrude Street as well, because I know there's a lot of support in the community for these rainbow footpaths. So really keen to support this motion and keen to see those rainbows sparkling.
Thank you, Councillor Wade. Any more?
Yeah, just
Councillor
thank you. I don't even know why it was necessary. It's really good that Councillor Crossland has brought this motion to the floor of Council, but it's a shame that he had to do that. It had to be raised at the committee because you either do something properly or you don't do it at all. And at the moment, it's really tatty. People used to, when it first went up, people used to come from other areas in Melbourne and get the photographs taken next to the rainbow colours. No one would do that now. So I just think that, maybe through the CEO to the relevant officers, that I think the unanimous view, I'd imagine, of all the councillors is that just this be regularly maintained. And we don't have to have motions of coming to the floor of council we obviously maintain the front of our 3 town halls. That goes without saying. It should be the same with this. And hopefully this is the last time we have to do it.
Thank you, Councillor Jolly. Any more speakers? Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? Carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors. Any other general business from anyone? Otherwise, I have one to move myself. It's about 2 actions on the brink of 2 important celebrations for Victoria Street and the Vietnamese community. I'll speak to it if there is a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Landis. So the Victoria Street Business Association came to us at the Moon Lantern Festival about a week and a half ago and talked about how the 10-year anniversary of the Gateway on Victoria Street is coming up in 2024. Now, similarly, in 2025, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Vietnamese people arriving in Australia, and with Richmond being a hub for Vietnamese people. Both stakeholders have asked that we advocate on behalf of them to the state government and federal government to see how they can get support for some cultural events and initiatives over the next 2 years, and similarly calls for an officer's report to see how council can support. I move this motion, and I'll see if Councillor Landis has anything else to add.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge Ha Nguyen and the members of his committee, the amazing work they do to bring about these festivals every year, both the Lunar Festival and the Moon Festival. Also like to recognise Mecca Ho for his work in the original the Gateway sign and his work that he did. I know it's a very proud project of his, and I'd certainly like to acknowledge that. Also like to acknowledge that in 2020 former local member Richard Wynne convened a round table to look at some of the things the government could do to try and revitalise and reinvigorate Victoria Street and Bridge Road. But and I noticed that one of their end goals was a place with a relevant identity shaped by its community. And I guess this particular motion before us is exactly that. If I go to the vision that was then sort of put together, that Victoria Street will be a vibrant and welcoming place with a proud and strong Vietnamese cultural heritage and future. There are diverse local businesses that serve the needs of the local residents, and they will be loyal to supporting the street. There is a good access to services and connection to public transport. Between the train station, Church Street, there is a bustling social hub. You can always find people walking down the street, and there is reduced vehicle traffic. And they talk about public social spaces are loved by the locals, and the connecting streets and laneways are also active, and the street is known for its festival and events. I think that was the vision that was put together. This particular motion simply seeks to endorse that and to enhance those aspirations, and on that basis I commend this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Landis. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Crossland.
Just to say thank you both so much for speaking so well to that, and 100% agree. Really looking forward to seeing what can come out of this and continue to work with the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councillor. Any more speakers? Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries unanimously. Thank you, councillors. We move on to section 13, which is urgent business. CEO, do we have any tonight? No urgent business tonight. Okay. Everybody, that concludes the public component of this meeting. Councillors, can you move a motion to close the meeting to the public, please? Councillor O'Brien and Councillor Landis. Let's go to a vote. All those in favour? That carries. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who has attended tonight. We will now be moving into the private section, so we will bid you good night and farewell. Councillors, let's take a quick 10-minute break. Let's be back at 8:25. 5 minute break. 8:20. Thank you, councillors.